Um, good books. The poker books in the second, but on the top shelf are some poker books.
Yeah, I could see on the second shelf, first book on the left for me. It's definitely Harrington.
Bad read. I don't have
What?
Harrington.
It's not Harrington?
You mean the
The three
green one?
cards? No, on the left, the other side.
The left over here?
Yeah,
The super small, thin one?
yeah. The one with the three, probably three cards at the bottom.
No, no, no. That's Matt Jonna. That's applications.
Oh,
And
I was
it's the
sure.
most it's the most worn in one that that's all yeah. On the top is Fluke and Paradox of Choice. That's the one that I told everyone to read because it's the one that's like how common it is for insane things to happen. The guy goes over the probabilities of like people who won the lottery 3 times, like some person who sold her book in like a garage sale and then went to France on a vacation and found her book with her name signature in it like 3 or 4 years later or something.
That's crazy.
And he goes over the probability of it. He's like, let's assume that there's this many garage sales, there's this many people, how many people take vacant, and he's like, oh, there's actually like a 0.3% chance that that happens. So it should happen given that there's so many billions of people in the world. So she folds 8-4, right? That's what she had. We called it. What's her name? Olga.
Yeah.
She folds it like she's was she talking about his hand? In that specific hand where she said, I knew he was bluffing, but there's not much I can do.
No, I think she's more like I knew he was check raising light because that's what
Yeah,
he
yeah,
did
yeah.
to
Yeah.
Nikita before, but he wasn't check raising super light either. Like from what we saw, like maybe obviously like there's some editing, so it's possible we missed a lot, but what we've seen so far is like he was check raising with flush draws, so it's not completely anything.
Yeah, but
Like
that's why
he,
you don't choose that hand. It's like a weird choice for her with that hand
yeah,
to re-raise like that. It's like
yeah,
yeah,
your
because
hand
it's
is
not.
super vulnerable, but like it's not gonna help you much to put more chips in the middle right now. What you should do is call, and if you find a safe turn, maybe now you just go all in on your read or whatever. But at least like now you're sure. I don't know. It doesn't
Yeah,
make because like putting more chips in and then having the fate of like all the cards coming up anyways if he calls, like it's still really hard for you to play afterwards.
there's definitely like when you want to you put a bet out with the old super old school. Remember the pre-flop full tilt classes were like you should only open with a hand that can call a raise. It's like that's a
Mm-hmm.
little over the top. You definitely want to think about whether or not you can call a raise. You shouldn't decline betting or raising if you cannot call a raise. But like there's kind of a balance between which hands are strong enough to just like raise going all in and then raise and fold, and that's kind of where you start to polarize out. That's why your bluffs and your strongest hands like to raise, and then you choose bigger sizings, like blah blah blah. So tied into the fact that she's playing against a player that she knows can be aggressive, it's like it's a weird spot to choose where it's like, oh, he could have some weaker hands here, and it's like this is
Mm-hmm.
exact. If anyone else in the game is going to turn some weird hand into a bluff, it's like him. And then didn't she see him spaz with the well, not spaz. She saw him bluff her teammate off top pair when he had a
Yeah.
two and was like, oh, this two's not winning, so he just ships it. So then
Mm-hmm.
she takes a stand with middle pair and he ships it. It's like not a surprise. So yeah, you know the lights on. It's tough to know what you're going to do in each spot, but that is a weird was a weird spot for her to take with the middle pair there. So he wins. Johan wins and gets 90 coins, and immediately Jungleman is pissed. Did you know what really he was? I was tracking. He thought it was an issue, and Johan was like, "No, it's not an issue." And then Jungleman got mad that Johan did not understand why it was an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand what the issue was. I didn't really wasn't tracking huge what the issue was that Jungleman was initially upset about.
From his point of view, he was upset that he should have been first because he's the better player, heads up specialist out of this team, and there's a big edge to being first because like you can get uh personal gold coin, which is basically the goal of the entire show, like to get more gold coin to get more chips at the end of the thing. And he didn't factor this in when he let Johan go play first. But like I was saying, like if
Wait.
nobody
I think it was that Johan came back and Jungle was like, I let him go and I should have gone first. But it kind of felt to me like he had this vibe of like Johan came back and acted like he did a really good job when he should have been thanking me for letting him go first, like
yeah.
kind of in the back of his mind. And
Hmm.
instead, he's like, Johan came in thinking like, oh, we had a good team strategy, but he's like, you should be thanking me that I let you do that.
Yeah.
And then Johan's like, no, it's not a big deal. Like it just happens. Um,
Yeah. But like I said, if nobody agrees, I think it's still up to the team captain to choose who goes first. So
yeah, we
like I
did talk
don't
about
really
that.
see the point. Like
Yeah, that's important. Yeah.
so anyways, Carol team did a very fair thing. What they did is like they flipped for whoever goes first. And when he sat to the table, like he asked Fedor, like, how did they do in this team? And they're like, oh, we talked about it. And he's like, oh, so your teammate got screwed. That's what
So
you
it's
did.
funny because Johan mentions flipping too, and Jungleman's like, absolutely not, we're not flipping. Like I'm playing
Yeah.
first next, but they already played their match. Carol's team, they had that conversation before, but he like, okay, so I sent you the article. And that's a recent article. I don't know how recent this diagnosis is or whatever, but kind of immediately just like Jungleman's being a baby, but like he's arguably the best player there, and he's at a deficit now. He's going to go into the final round with a big blind deficit because Johan got all those big blinds. He's upset and kind of is calling him a baby, but like he's frustrated because the other people won't see why he's frustrated, and he's has autism, and like he's just being a frustrated man with autism. Like I don't know that he was being a huge baby. He did okay. He did curse the dude out. He's like, "You're not getting what I'm saying." But like, we don't know that he didn't go apologize to him after they were
Yeah.
done editing. Like, we don't know that he didn't say like, "Hey, I blew up. I'm sorry." We found his book the last episode. We figured out what his book was, and he says it like to the camera in the corner of the room. He's like, "It's funny, I'm reading a spiritual book, and I just fucking got triggered and exploded on my teammates or whatever."
So I read the whole article. So his diagnose was made 21 years ago, so it's not
Oh,
recent.
oh, okay.
But he got more things afterwards. So like he also has ADHD and something else, and that was diagnosed a little bit closer to now. So that was different. And also the guy that we saw his book was from, like he also sought out this guy to meet him, like to see if it was possible to reach divinity or like can some people have like mystical powers or stuff like that. So it was really interesting that he's like super into it. Like he's not just reading a book just to enlighten himself. Like he's really trying uh to access some
Hidden
kind of
powers.
knowledge, yeah, or whatever. Well, he's not sure. He's not sure it exists. So I'm not necessarily sure he's trying to get these powers, but I think he's just trying to uh, get to the bottom of it and just like see if it's possible or if it even exists.
Right. That was in the article that I sent you, you're saying?
Yeah,
Wow, that's like ties a lot of things together. That's pretty
yeah,
crazy. Okay. My point was that I feel for him though, because I'll be like on a table and Fish wins a hand and says nice hand. And I'll be like, what? And then they'll be like, why are you giving me that face? And I'll be like, how do you not understand that you cannot beat me in the hand and then say nice hand? I'm not mad at you winning the hand. I'm mad at you being a fucking tool. Like, don't tell me nice hand because I'm losing. Like, we're not friends right now. Give me another 30 minutes. So like I feel for him in that spot. Like he's frustrated and the guy he's frustrated at is like, it's not a big deal. It's like, don't tell me what's not a big deal.
Do you have autism?
Me? Oh, because I said
You
that?
might.
No, I
You
don't. I
might.
might. Dude, I might. I hate people, but like I don't think that's a thing. I think it's just hard to socialize. You don't hate them all.
Yeah.
Uh, but no. But we talked about this though. I remember saying I thought three spot was like the best spot, and no one wanted to go third. Everyone's like, let's put our best players last. And was Negreanu kind of just opted into third, but because arguably Kuhn was the best, and they may have had some off-camera discussion that like Kuhn plays most with, he has more experience with Fedor, Jungleman, who they expected to see. But like you knew that winning third was 50, and the fourth sit and go was hidden point value. But third place for the third sit and go was like about the same as first place for the first one. So if I'm Jungleman or David Williams or who actually had this thought process going on, it's like you probably want to play number three. David was like, you should be jumping at the chance to play number four because it could be the best prize. But like, I don't know, but like the approach there could have been a bit different. I think Jungleman only has himself to blame, really, because he wasn't like opting to think a little bit deeper on where he needed to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are definitely thinking about it now, and round six is going to be like sneaky. Whatever round five is and six is, like gold coins are going to come into play for sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the monkey theory. That's like the mathematician, famous mathematician, like long time ago, said you put like 100 monkeys in a room with typewriters, and eventually, randomly, they're going to recreate Hamlet because like the way the letters fall. And I've always said there's like the monkey theory in poker. Like if you put 100 monkeys in a poker tournament, like one of them has to win. That doesn't mean the winner knows how to play. It's like Johan looks like such a genius right now, but it's just like I wanted to go first. He happens to win all three. It's like a really good result, but it's like he's looks like he's outplaying everyone in the game so far.
Yeah. But also, like, to be fair, like it was also the weakest team out of all four. So like he also had like the biggest chance at winning.
Oh yeah, because Charlie mentions it. Charlie said like your EV is about the same for the team. Because
Mhm.
if someone's going to run through all three opponents, they're going to run through all three opponents first, second, or third. But the EV gap is huge if the best player goes first.
Yeah.
You mentioned it. If you send Kaina first and she loses, the other team gets gold, but then Johan gets to go in and sweep and he still gets his 90. But you give some gold to the other team. But
Yeah.
like that's not really the other team getting some gold for beating your first person, like isn't super big deal. It's just one player out of the remaining opponents that has like a bit more.
So the difference is it reduces the gap between your chip lead and their following. So by giving 30 coins to somebody else, like you only have 60 over them if you sweep and you get 90. But if you sweep and nobody got the 30 goal, like you have 90 gap over everybody else.
Yes. Okay.
So let's assume like it's not what's happening, but like let's assume in the last match it's gonna be like one win everyone. So basically people only get 30 coins. So this way he has a chip lead of 60
Everyone
points
kind of
for sure.
ladders up with each other.
Yeah.
Well, so also these two teams, episode six are more level. It is a huge risk kind of to send kind of first because then the other team is more likely to get those 30. But like it's not much of a huge risk to send Maria Ho, Josh, David first. Like they're all pretty decent. Like
Absolutely. Yeah.
we know who the best is, but like if they both teams decided to flip for it and it ends up being Josh Arya versus Fedor or Maria versus Dave or whatever, like it's not like ooh, we're definitely going to win this one kind of thing. It's like they're all pretty level. They're all pretty
Mhm.
pretty flat. Um, I think it's funny that they flipped. That's what we used to do combatives in the army, and I was certified to the point where like I could teach it. And one of the things you're allowed to do is like in the combative school, you learn how to fight at different levels. And so if we had two privates, like 19, 20-year-old bags of testosterone that are like arguing with each other, and they were both certified, like I could let them fight each other. And we had we're on the range one time in like a shoot house, and they got into some I don't know, some argument, some issue, whatever. So we went like behind the Humvee and just let them like roll, and then you get up and you eat lunch. Like you roll, you see who the winner is, you split them up, send them to separate squads, and then they eat. So like Charlie playing like they did like a 7 card flip. You get all seven face down, and you first person flips, and then the next person flips until he can beat it, and then the next person flips until he can beat it. We do that in Detroit every now and then. So like if you flip a queen, I keep flipping until I have a king or a pair or whatever, and then the next person keeps going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a great way to do it. They're not going to argue.
Like I said, it's the fairest thing to do because I'm pretty sure the team captain has the final word. So because I don't see like the TV producers like getting in the mix of it and like, no, this is who's gonna go first. Like, if nobody's agreed, like it has to be the captain.
I love watching Maria and Josh figuring out what Fedor is doing because that's like how we will talk.
Yeah,
She's like, can he call with this hand that it's too big? When he calls on the flop with the 10 of diamonds, she's like, he's not calling. Like without it, he's only calling because he has the 10 of diamonds. Um, like nothing against Sexton or Ali Najad or any of them, but like sometimes commentators not always in the poker player's mindset. They're just kind of looking at the whole cards and the equity, how big the pot's getting. But there's a way of like you're getting the commentary, but you're getting it from the a player's point of view without forcing a player into a box with a microphone and saying, "Hey, talk about everything." Where they're
yeah,
going to be like forced to say. So we get to hear the commentary about it. Like Maria's not assuming she knows what's going on, but she's just like, "Here's why I think that's what he's doing." And like you're never going to know what goes on in Fedor's head unless you're him.
yeah. It was surprising to me that at some point Charlie and Fedor started shoving pre-flop. Like, I still felt they were still deep enough not to be doing this. And in other matches, like it didn't shove that deep. So I was just surprised that the top players would, I think, limit their edge at this point in the game. Like, I'm not sure, but I think it was like 25 big blind deep. And it's just like Charlie limp on the blind and Fedor shoved. Like, obviously, I'm not saying they're bad plays, but I'm just a little bit surprised that they're just.
No, but I think it goes the other way around. Like you're when you have an edge against a worse opponent, you're gonna realize that edge post flop, like all the way to the river, with more decision points to take advantage of like, different exploits. So we can sometimes be in a spot against like a really fishy aggro whatever exploit type player you're up against to play a certain hand that you normally wouldn't. But I don't. I wonder if Fedor or Charlie, if either one of them is like, I'd rather deny his equity or just flip here as opposed to flop. Like they're both good at playing post, but given that it's only how many big blinds you said they were shoving like
2025.
20, 25. Yeah, I mean that might just be a spot that's studied where like I mean we've been going through some GTO wizard stuff that's like we've been doing some tournament stuff that's like 20 big blind shoves that we would have never thought about.
Yeah.
Um, that where if he takes it post, he can find against most players like a really easy fold in certain spots or a really easy call in certain spots. I don't know where maybe he thinks against a better player he'd rather just shove the 20 and like go for max fold equity pre-flop. I don't know. Um, in my head, I that made a lot of sense until I realized 20 big blinds is pretty massive
Yeah.
to just open shove like that.
And it seems that I was wrong. It's more like 15 bigs.
Okay.
Because I knew I saw like call 60K and I knew like he had about 1.5 million,
Oh
but
wait,
60 was just like half the blind.
you know what? It might be
But
though. Like, are you considering how many three bets they're going to face? That'll flesh out my thought a little bit. From the mindset of like you can open a lot of these hands and play post and like have an edge playing post flop. In a normal tournament or heads up environment, like you're not typically worried about that. That's like the number one live tournament read is like they're not going to three bet you as much. Like you can open wider. But with 15 big blinds, you open anything that's going to have a tough spot against a three bet. And like,
yeah, especially out of position, you're gonna have to shove and give implied odds to your opponent if he flops pair. So I definitely on board with it, knowing this. But like the editing was like it was so fast to get to that point in the heads up match that I really thought it was deeper than this.
yeah, they mentioned it took them like an hour to get there. And
Mhm.
you only watch like 8 minutes and they're up to like level 4, which is like an hour of playing. But they did a good job of showing the hands going back and forth. Like the two really well skilled players are just sending pots back and forth, chips back and forth. Not many mistakes. It looks like they're probably going, you know, just trading blinds back and forth, and like that's what it is at a really high level. To
There's
their
not a dull moment in that show.
they get to their king queen versus ace nine flip.
Yeah.
There's a sweat for sure, obviously. and Fedor loses. But the table talk you mentioned, um, I like that. At the beginning, Charlie was like trying to get in their head. The whole team, he was like, "You
Yeah.
guys let Fedor like send you guys let Fedor go first and take all the coins," and then he wins, which is funny. Um, but yeah, I like that he was trying to get into the whole team's head just like a little bit
Hmm.
because that can come back up. Like I don't even know if he's planning it, but like he mentions it, and then Maria gets up there, and he might be like, "Oh, when I win this one, like it's a shame Fedor's already gone because if you lose, because that's what Charlie will do. Like he's really good at the table talk,
Hmm.
So I noticed it. I think in the Queen's hand. Um, so well they have it's the first hand. Yeah, the Queen's hand. It's the first hand they play. They river trips. Both of them. Queen nine, King Queen versus Queen four, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's pretty safe. His queen is like really good. Um, no, but what we talk about is like you can't make people do things. Like there's this idea in poker that like your table talk you can make someone fold or make someone call. And what Charlie's really good at is he's good at assessing like the vibe of what someone has and then offering them support or like it, adding in doubt if he wants them to do the other thing. So in the spot, like he obviously wants her to call because he has like a super strong hand, but he does a really good job, I think, of assessing if she wants to, if it feels like she's going to call, then his table talk is like, yeah, wouldn't it be awesome? Like your whole team will love you, if you make the right decision here. Like not telling her what to do,
Hmm.
but like increasing the amount of positivity to get her to do what she's already thinking about doing. Versus if he had a bluff and he wants her to fold, and he thinks she's going to call, it's something along the lines of, "Oh man, your team's going to hate you if you make the wrong decision here," and it like increases the doubt, or something like, "Could I even have any bluffs?" And then it like forces her to think like, I thought he couldn't, but now maybe he could have, like, any way to increase doubt. And the more that he thinks she's going to do something, the more that he has to just Hail Mary, make some wild comment to send her in the other direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean
It's
that's
also
it.
it's also interesting because like people talking in their rooms are saying like yeah, it's a very good river for him, but he can't go all in. Like it's not a sizing that they're not saying this much, but like they're saying he can't go all in. So it's not really a sizing that people will be using for a bluff. Like it's risking too much in a heads up match, and like it's not really a good bluffing card. So he could go for value, but he can't go all in. And the fact that he went all in anyways probably what saved Maria.
Oh yeah, and well, not because she folded, but because she forgot to put in her coin.
Yeah,
But
but
it made her think long enough that she accidentally got away with it.
yeah, I'm not sure if she was calling them. She
Oh,
said she was.
is it a really good excuse for her to let time run out and then be like, "I was gonna call you"?
Yeah, that's what she said. But like, I don't know. She didn't seem too upset about having her hand
Hmm.
dead.
She is super tight, so like folding trips is no big deal for her.
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised, but like, it was really good.
Charlie washing himself with positive energy is summoning the Kamehameha good chi wave, and then not only like just get the good chi, but then you have to wash your hair with it. You need to
Hmm.
get all the energy up here. And why not just start the match with that? Just like, why wait till level 7 to fucking if you've got the power to do it? I mean, I guess that's the thing, right? The end boss can't use a superpower until it's like a close match. You don't read comic books and then in page 1 they're just like, superpower, it's over. You
Yeah.
gotta at least make it. He wants to make it at least worthwhile for the viewers before he just like calls on the psychic energy and ends it.
Mm.
It's pretty fun. He said he's never done that on TV before, so he like was conscious of that for sure. So it either is something that he needed to do to calm down, or it's something that he wanted to do for everyone to see. And the commentary about Charlie is that he often is very much looking for like spotlight. So it's funny.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think he had a very good chance at winning the match if things went a little bit different early on. So I think the first two hands were cooler. So if he sized down a little bit on the river on the first one, he probably gets her chips, and then on the second one, he finishes her off. But obviously, it doesn't mean much. Like we don't play on results; we just play on decisions, and it could have been off in the first hand too.
They kept saying that she can't fold trip queens. But again, like I remember that board. I don't know what bluffs you could have had that are going to do that. So
Yeah, well, there was still queen nine out there, so like king jack, king 10, jack 10, possibly some hard draws.
yeah, no, I guess so. But it being like the first hand, um, and the blinds being so like their stacks were like still pretty deep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like there's an argument for folding it. It's not like they were in level 4 and it was like, fold the queen for the sake of being alive. Like that's super tight. Like folding trips in the first hand and still having a stack to go the rest of the way through. But he said they end the match and they said she ran pure. It's like, okay, after Charlie hits trips twice and then like wins the flip. Okay.
Yeah,
So match 3.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's an interesting it's an interesting comment. It's an interesting combo between Josh and Fedor. I mean, it's quick. It's just like, comment back and forth. Um, the ace on the turn. So Andy with queen 10, Maria with ace 8, and then 10-8-3 flop with ace in the turn. And Josh is like, it's a good card for him, but his hand is also strong enough to check and then call a bet. So like oscillating between the two different options, and then Fedor's like, also could just bet.
yeah.
So
His
they
hand is strong enough to continue betting. That's what you said.
yeah, to keep going essentially. Yeah. Because it like hits his range, but he also now can check and call if Maria wants to try and go after it.
Mm-hmm. But he
Um,
also has like one of his strongest stands, so like he still can go for value. It's not like he has 10-7, and that would be a little bit too 10 to go for it.
yeah, because 2 hearts on board, plenty of straight draw. Well, not plenty of straight draws, but there's 3, 4 different straight draws, that Maria could have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then he blocks the 10. So
So basically, there's a bunch of hands that he can get value from right now that are draws that he won't get value from on the river. So it's like not the very strong hand to go for 3 streets of value, but you need to go for 2 because like the third one might not get there.
yeah, because that'll happen often. Is like you have a hand that's you're gonna go for maybe 2 streets. And so you have your 2 options. You can either barrel or check and then bet on the river. Um, and yeah, so in a texture like this, it's like the river could do more harm than good, given that it's a scare card for the other person, as opposed to like you can get your bet now and you never were going to bet the river anyway. In a different texture, he could be checking this turn and then decide he wants to go get some value on the river.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then Maria, so he chooses to bet, and then Maria raises. I mean, obviously she has ace 8, so she got 2 pair. Um,
Yeah,
but in
the
that, like,
talk's gonna be interesting in the rooms too.
yeah, it's not bluffed often. Well, it's the same that we talked about with Johan and the trip 8s against whoever he was playing against, Olga or someone, and he flops the set, and it's like she bets, and he raises, and it's like, potentially he could have like some uh I don't know, some draws or something, but like if she has an ace, then he's going to get money anyway. But like you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to bet the set now, assuming that she has an ace, because she also could have some other like king queen or something. The example was like she could have king queen and she's barreling or something. So it's good for you to call and she hits a queen and throw it. But like this spot, it's tough. Like she's not going to raise the heart draws. She's not going to raise the straight draws against the sizing. And then it's Maria. Another thing against Maria, I'm just saying they keep saying that she plays pretty tight.
Yeah,
I'm not saying she does. I think she's pretty competent and she could find some spots. But like, if she did have a draw, like a good draw, or she had a high equity hand, like she doesn't need to raise there.
Yeah, well, so far from what we've seen, like every time there's a chance or passivity, that's what she chooses. So
And so then she checks like she did
yeah,
with the
that I don't get.
like she did with Ace King against the
Yeah,
aces in the other.
that's big proof that like she's never bluffing.
Yeah, I mean, go for like, geez, what it was I mean, what could he have?
To our credit, like there's busted draws that may decide to bet on this card, and now 9-7 got there, possibly King Queen, probably King Queen of Hearts because otherwise King Queen probably doesn't call a check raise. Ace Jack possibly.
Okay,
So she wants to preserve his stack, and she wants to let him have some bluffs, and he's
okay.
capable of. But I do agree that it's probably lean towards value more than more.
So Andy's 8-5 hand, and Maria's been leaning towards passivity. You think he talked himself into thinking that she's too strong to fold? Like she checked a pair?
Yeah, I think so.
Um, which is just probably leveling himself because like she's been pretty passive.
She's pretty
And she,
passive and she's capable of very big folds. So even though like she has a pair, like she's capable of folding it.
yeah, but
I
even
think.
if you don't believe her in the beginning that she meant to fold the queen, like even if you do, what was I saying? Yeah, even if you don't believe that she said she was going to call
Mhm.
when she had the trips, whatever, it doesn't matter. The fact that she tanked that long and used the time bank and she didn't snap with the queens, like it doesn't mean that she was going to fold trips, but it means that she's capable of folding like a big pair there. So she's capable of folding a hand. So what, like, it checks to that spot. How does Andy not go for it? He has to with that hand too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough spot. The pressure for sure, I think, got to him in that spot. I don't know if the pressure of just the one tournament or the pressure of like having a whole team behind him, but it seemed like that's what it was. It was just, let's move on to the next hand. Let's see what were their stacks at. Oh, it's not like he has a huge chip lead. Like she's in the lead now, 2.2. He's got 1.4 million. It would be a little bit different if he was leading up to this point. And it's like, well, I'll give up on this bluff and we'll find some more hands. But like he's got to win a pot. So he gives up, he loses, and then we're left to wonder what happens next.
Yep. All in all, a very good show again. I liked it a lot.
All right, so what's your prediction then? What do you think happens between who's left? It's Maria and Josh left, and Andy and who's and David, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does it end? You think?
Uh, I'm gonna say Maria's gonna beat Handy and William's gonna beat Maria. And I think Josh gonna beat David. Totally
I
random guessing. Like
No,
I
I
don't
agree.
necessarily think or whatever. But
I think Maria beats Andy. I think I agree with you. Maria beats Andy. I think she's got a good. Think she'll give David a run for his money for sure. I think Maria could sweep. Well, yeah,
yeah, she
because she
could.
beat Charlie, right? Yeah, I think Maria could sweep.
Mhm.
That's my prediction. Maria sweeps it.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. But I think David's gonna be more willing to pull the trigger and she's gonna have a hard time calling.
Okay, good point. Because now he's seen more than enough evidence that she's willing to make like some big
Mhm.
folds.
Yeah, and he knows that every time she goes for it, she has value. So he's gonna avoid it and put pressure back to her that she won't be able to call.
Yeah, but she's also just gonna run pure. She's got good energy. So I mean, after the queens, like she's owed one, so she's gonna beat Andy just because of the spot in the tournament that they're at, and then she's just gonna run over David with like she's gonna flop trips twice.
Okay, then I think
Especially.
Charlie's gonna give his white aura so that David's gonna run pure in this match.
Wait, if you before David leaves the room, Charlie gives him like
Yeah,
a full positive energy rub
yeah.
down.
He talked about it like last page of the comics. That's where David goes and wins. It's gonna
Oh,
be cool too. Like it's gonna give more coins to more people.
I forgot about that too. He did mention that he was the end boss, David.
Hmm. Yeah,
He comes out with like Charlie on his shoulder. He comes out with Charlie's hoodie. David takes his shirt off and puts Charlie's blazer on.
Yeah.
From the first episode. All right, we'll see who's right. Loser has to do something stupid. I don't know.
All right.
DoorDash the other person a sandwich. I can't buy you lunch if you're in fucking Canada. I can't buy you beer.
Yeah. Definitely DoorDash.
All right. Have a good drive.